Hello there, and welcome back to our short videos on business studies, specifically in the unit of enterprise. And today we will be looking at why new businesses fail. So in the previous video, we spoke about what are the challenges actually that an entrepreneur faces, and sometimes these challenges could grow into something more difficult to manage. And therefore, today we will be looking at why do new businesses often fail. Let's look at the first reason, the most basic reason that not anyone can think of or would not believe that it is possible is the fact that new entrepreneurs or new business owners do not keep records properly. Right, the importance of keeping your bills, your invoices, your business documents. Record keeping is very, very important because it helps a business in terms of getting more finances. When you go to the bank and you want to try to prove to the bank that you have, actually sales, right? You've got to show proof of your invoices and things like that. So not having good record keeping is a particular reason of why a business may fail. Secondly, not having enough cash in hand or as well as working capital. Now, you may be wondering, what is working capital? Right, working capital is the cash that the business keeps in. Let's say if you're a grocery store owner, you need to have enough cash in your hands while running the business, because there may be times that emergencies happens or bills to pay where you do not have time to actually take or remove money from the bank for that matter. So having cash in hand or having enough working capital helps the business survive in terms of rolling or buying new groceries, right, or new supplies for the grocery store to ensure that the business rolls. Poor management skills is another reason why a business may fail. As a new owner of a business, you may be having a certain sense of skill in certain areas alone. For example, if you're good in financing or finance or accounts for that matter, then that's the only thing that you'll be able to manage. But not having that skill to manage the other parts of the business, for example, the people that work for you, right? The HR portion of it, the marketing portion of the business, right? So not being able to manage the different areas of the business, or basically having poor management skills, could cause the business to fail in the long run, especially if you do not have enough money to employ people who have particular skills in different areas. And lastly, let's talk about changes in the business environment. Many businesses fail because they do not adapt or blend or be flexible enough to understand what's happening out there. And this could be perhaps in the form of a new competition who's pricing their product even more cheaper than yours, or the fact that businesses are going to use more online platforms rather than a physical store, and perhaps having both would be an option. So the ability of a business to be agile or to change when the need arises, or to adapt to what consumers want, is a key factor why some businesses fail. Though we cannot deny that changing immediately for every single new developments in the environment is costly for a business. Now, to help you understand a bit more, I have some terms on the right hand side of the slide. As usual, as an activity, you'll see various sort of almost like a definition, or to just prompt you to think further about what could be a good explanation for each of these reasons for a failing business. And it's labeled between 1 to 4, and they're all jumbled up, they're not in the correct order. And what you need to do is you will need to match the A to D's to the 1 to 4s, right? So you would have some time given to you to actually do this. Yeah, why don't you try this on your own? Now, let's check your answers. Now, there were four reasons altogether of why a business fails, and of course, four jumbled definitions to be matched. I hope you got all four out of four right. And if you didn't, you may always, rewind to try this activity again. Now, let's move on. Now let's look at the question before we end today's class. Explain one reason why new businesses fail. So keywords would be understanding what are the reasons a business may fail, explaining the reason, identifying the reason, and then explaining the reason, and then saying why it fails, right? So let's look at a sample answer here. Now, one reason why new businesses fail is due to lack of working capital. So, working capital is the cash needed to run the day-to-day operations of the business, such as having enough money to pay for the electricity bill. A business that is unable to pay for the electricity would not be able to operate and would eventually lead to loss in sales. This, in the long run, would cause the business to fail. So as you can see, I've highlighted some points in blue here for you to take note of. First of all, I've identified what is the reason, lack of working capital. Then I go on to explain what working capital is, even though the examiner may already know that. Right? And I give an example of how working capital is used. For example, having enough money to pay for the electricity bill. And a business that is not able to pay for it would eventually lead to loss in sales, because you can't operate with a business or a shop that is not well lit or is completely dark. So note that I use the word would eventually lead to loss in sales and not immediately, losing sales. This, in the long run, would cause the business to fail. So what would lead the business to fail? Not having enough working capital, because eventually it would lead to loss in sales, and then finally and possibly cause the business to fail in the long run. This is the end of today's class. I hope you were able to capture whatever I've been trying to explain to you, and I will see you again in the next video.